It's such a good feeling to know you're alive. It's such a happy feeling, the feeling inside. And when you wake up, ready to say, I think I'll make, uh, what is it, special today or something. It's such a good feeling, a really good feeling. Whatever, to know you're alive, whatever. Okay? Bottom line is this. Hi, Aiken. Been aching for some Aiken. Nah, I like that name though. It's a nice name. The meaning of this live stream is to say that um I've been thinking of some ideas for live streams, and I've been thinking I'd like to have something like an anything that ails ya live stream. Uh, Open to anyone and somewhere along the lines of like an AA, anonymous, the anonymous. Thank you, Aiken. Even though I couldn't remember the words, I'm surprised because usually I do. But I think I kind of got him kind of did a mosh up between um, "Would you be my neighbor?" and "It's such a good feeling to know you're alive." Either way, they're both good, right? A little nostalgia. Um, One of my other favorites used to be when I was a kid was the Carol Burnett show, and she would sing. God, what was that one she do? Oh, God, oh my God, it was in my. It was just on the tip of my tongue too. And you know what's funny is people will say, "Oh, um, people, like they'll blame certain things for being, forgetting." But I think we all forget sometimes, right? Like I've walked into my kitchen. I think that's like, a running joke of life, really. Like we walk into the kitchen, open the fridge, and forget why we're there. What was that Carol Burnett show? The theme that she'd sing at the end. Oh, Jesus. Ah, and you guys know me. I'm good with music and remembering words and stuff. That's why I always have to laugh because I do have pretty good memory for a lot of things. Like a lot of the trivia questions, they'll come off the top of my head, like if I ran out of questions that I've written down. But oh Jesus, I keep remembering it in my head. I can picture her singing it too. The Carol Burnett show was great. There's a lot of nostalgia I'm missing from today's day and age. Uh, just serious, it really is. It's crazy. If anybody remembers that Carol Burnett time that she used to sing at the end, just tell me, please, because I can't remember it. I bet I could look it up, but I'm not gonna. Yeah, I was thinking like a something along the line, and all of them scheduled, which I'll have to stick to the schedule. Like if I schedule something, I'll have to stick to it. Um, like it'll be anything that ails ya anonymous. So anybody can come in and talk about anything, and even if it's not in their regular um, avatar or channel name, but they want to talk about it, but they don't want to give too much information, which I can totally understand. And that's why that's where the anonymous comes in, right? I mean, nobody is supposed to repeat what they hear at like an AA meeting or an NA meeting. So, with this being on a social media platform, I totally can agree with keeping, you know, anonymous. Hey, oh, you went to sleep at 9:30. Well, you do work. You work and you get up very early, and um, it's totally understandable. Really understandable. You didn't miss much. Although I will tell you guys, I did go on Tommy D's panel last night, and very nice people in his uh, live stream, in his chat room, and himself, very pleasant. That's why I won't give up on YouTube. I don't agree with everything that occurs on YouTube, but I certainly can find it within me to um, help make the good outweigh the bad. That's for sure. You know, even just as seeing Aiken and Dominic in here, that outweighs the bad right there. When I think about YouTube, I don't really think the reasons why I want to be there are for bad reasons. The reasons why I want to be here are because of you guys and because of what it does for me um, as a person and enjoying things. Times are changing. The fact that right, exactly, Dominic, always, if we were all the same, then we wouldn't know when we met somebody that was, you know, good, right? It's always got to be what they call like valleys to notice the mountaintops, or um, I think it's all in how we see it. I think we all see it sometimes overwhelming. When it gets overwhelming, that we see it as probably more negative than we realize our ability to turn it around. And it just sometimes takes some encouraging and positive words from someone else, somebody on the outside looking in, to point out something that is such a attribute, blessing, um, beautiful characteristic, anything at all that you can say to somebody that is going to make them feel better about themselves is worth saying. That is the truth. It's worth saying. Even if you don't, you know, the bottom line is if I find a lot of times that it's the negative people, the mean people who will use quotes like, oh, you get what you put back into the world. Um, they'll use these quotes that are really meant for good. And I don't think that there's enough support for people who want to stay on YouTube and not leave YouTube and not become thin skinned and not want to exactly ignore things like that. It's not that they want to ignore them or not ignore them. It's that they want to find a different outlet. They enjoy YouTube, but all they're coming across is drama. And yes, probably more than likely true that drama is more um, entertaining for a time, just for a limited amount of time. Is it entertaining? Then after a while, you start thinking, am I really forging any friendships here? You start to witness things that you hope don't ever happen to you, so you'll become complacent. They're just waiting for their turn to speak. That's true, huh? That's very true, Aiken. I'd think about that for a bit. Like, that is very true. I noticed that tonight, as a matter of fact. And now, if I think about it consciously, after you said that, that there's been many times when you're saying something to somebody, and sometimes, though, on the flip side of that, Aiken, I find myself listening and still waiting for my turn to speak. And then when I speak, they still don't listen. Um, Even sometimes I'll find myself speaking maybe too aggressively, uh, maybe even over speaking because I get tired of exactly what you're saying. People not listening, people not seeing, even. Like, you could put something up in print, black and white. You could put it up there. And yet, people will believe what they want to believe, even if it's not in print. And what is so discouraging sometimes is that they want to believe the negative stuff before they want to believe something positive. And they want to insist that that negative stuff occurred, even though they don't have any proof of that. And you're just, not you per se, I'm saying in general, we just want to believe the best of things, that that person really does like us. And if you don't have anything to back up what you're saying they did against me, my preference is to not believe it. Much rather believe somebody didn't say something mean about me, and I have to question the motives of the person who's telling me that. Sometimes I'll find myself saying, and then what did you say? And they'll be like, well, nothing. Like, well, then why are you telling me? Because it hurts more if sometimes when you know that your friends are amongst people that you know don't like you, and they are speaking badly. And look at the one with the lot, and you will usually find the problem. Believe actions, not words. Thank you, 805, and thank you, Aiken. Yeah, I didn't think that my actions were in any way aggressive if we're talking about the same thing. And yet it seemed the consensus was to go along with that. It was okay to say, that I don't know what I'm talking about because in some way I'm impaired. I don't think I'm impaired. I think it's mean to try to insist that somebody's impaired and to go on other forums and paint that narrative and allow lies to paint that narrative as opposed to just saying, Well, I've never seen that from her, and nobody's ever seen that from me. No, I know, right, Jose? And and I really try to see the best in people, even people who stay. You were at the hospital. What happened, Aiken? Were you aching? No, what happened? Um, how did they get it out? That could be so scary. Choking. Oh my God. It's so scary for the person who's actually choking. I know that it's scary for the people around, but unless you're the one who's really choking, I don't think that the people who are watching know. I guarantee, like, if you've choked before, it's still hard to recollect how close to death someone who's choking can feel like they are, because it's y- and you know how people, they learn that Heimlich maneuver and all that. Um, I would think with what you just said, with the sharp bone becoming, that almost seems like that would be really hard to. How did she get a bone in her mouth? Was it like in the food and she didn't expect it to be there? Because that's like so. You would think it would like rip some kind of internal something they really need. You know what I mean? I was listening to those into both sides of her neck. How big was it? Holy crap. I was watching one of those, well, not watching, but listening to, the YouTube ones, the 911 calls. And the lady, she ate a marshmallow. And the guy, he came down into the kitchen, like she'd gotten up in the middle of the night. And fortunately, for some reason, he came down and saw that she was choking on a marshmallow. And it was actually I think it was at the Cape or something they lived. And, as someone who's been to the Cape before, I can totally imagine in my head the side street where it's just so pitch black, and on the the it was a shard of bone on lamb. Oh, I see what I see. I love lamb and spaghetti noodle when I was like 10. My spaghetti noodle. My daughter choked on smart food. My daughter was like, "Have you seen my Hot Topics bag?" I was all choking and shit. I thought I was being funny, like going nom 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 nom, shoving it in my mouth. Yeah, this guy, the 911 operator kept like saying, they wanted them to do, and the guy was trying to dislodge this marshmallow, and those are big. And he was trying to dislodge this marshmallow, but oh my God, was it? Yeah. And yet at the same time, the 911 operator is saying, how the ambulance kept passing the street and he could see them because it looked like, it was one of those side streets that was just kind of a dirt road, like a private way. and he could see the ambulance, and he didn't want to leave her because she still had life in her and he could hear it. But every time this ambulance was passing the street, so he's like running back and forth. And finally, you could tell the moment that her eyes went dead. Like he says it. He's like, oh no. He started crying. He was, so bad for the guy. Because seriously, the ambulance just could not find this guy's street. It was awful. Those 911 calls, those recordings, I don't know if you ever, listen to any of those. Those are pretty intense. They really are. And these ones that I watch, the guy, he does live streams. Whenever he releases a new video, he'll actually do it as a live stream and be in the room with, the people who are watching it. And I think that's really cool because he does address everybody in the room and say hello. And, you know, everybody can give their opinion of what's going on. I mean, some of them are just so intense. They're so intense. The one I watched the other day, actually it was yesterday, um, was that chapter. He's a funny guy. I'm sorry, he is funny. The stories that he's telling are not funny, but he's funny. He's like an Irish guy, and his name's Mike. And God, he's funny. That's why I think that they're allowed on YouTube to swear a certain amount of time and still be monetized because they must be able to swear at least 3 times or something. Because I noticed that but he does say the F word, but not a lot, but at the right time. And God, he is funny. And oh my God, it was, the story was, holy shit. I shouldn't have even fucking got off my subject. It was, oh, okay. So these people, right? They were married, and you know how some people they like to hang out in their garage. You ever seen people like that? They'll put like a TV out in their garage and everything. Well, that's what they had. They were hanging in their garage, this married couple, and so the neighbors would come and they would. I'm glad to hear everybody's okay though. Hear the lamb shank choking and the noodle choking. I'm glad to see we're all okay. My smart food choking. I'm glad we're all okay. So, my comment before I was really about to say, I'll let you hide the obvious. They wave their arms, put themselves in the sun. They do, and they are. Do you mean like flip floppers or flappers? They wave their arms, put themselves in the. Yeah, I just don't even understand why they don't like me. Can't they just leave me alone? Because I don't really talk about people or anything, you know. If I do, I try to make it like complimentary. So, you know, um, but I appreciate that, Aiken. But before I forget what I was saying, so I'm sure you guys have heard about this case. The guy was eating the other guy. Now, I believe both cases were in Florida, and one was eating the guy. It was like out in the, like in a public area. And I think he was on those bath salts or something. This particular case, this couple was sitting in their garage because they were just that type of people that would keep their garage up, and they had a TV out there. And this was also in Florida. And they would sit out in their garage, and the neighbors would come by and everything. So this um, neighbor heard the woman across the street, who was the one, with the garage, her and her husband, they were very well liked, heard her start screaming. So he ran over there, and there was somebody there that was killing them. Okay? The husband was still kind of alive, but the wife at this point had been stabbed multiple times. And so he had picked up a machete in the garage after, with his knife, picked up a machete. And by the time, so the guy gets stabbed multiple times, the neighbor that ran across the street, and he runs back home and um, calls 911. And he was almost dying himself. He'd been stabbed multiple times. And um, by the time the cops got there, the guy was like had his body wrapped around the husband and was ripping off pieces of his face and spitting them out. And every time the police would try to, because they could still hear the husband making noises, and every time they would try to get this guy to get off the guy, he would just scurry back. He wasn't scared. He was nothing. And they tried to handcuff him, and he was combative and, I mean, covered in blood. He was just totally out of his mind. So as it turns out, finally they end up getting one handcuff on this guy and dragging him away from the husband, who he did end up dying, but both ended up dying. Not the neighbor, but the husband and wife did. As it turned out, this guy was a 19-year-old kid who was no bath salt, nope, totally clean, totally clean. He just, I honestly have to think those benzodiazepines that they prescribe people for, say, one day they're feeling depressed, and they tell like the wrong person, and that person starts, being a dick, going around telling people they're depressed, I'm worried about them, blah, 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 right? So then the parents take them to see a counselor, and the counselor, of course, has to prescribe something because all they ever think about is textbook shit, and they just want people to put a band-aid on stuff without asking them, why do you feel this way? Talk to me about how you feel. And I always think it's horrible that if someone couldn't pay this person who they've revealed all of their most intimate secrets to, if they couldn't pay them any longer, if their insurance ran out, that they wouldn't see them anymore. And they get labeled in society, no matter how you want to say it, they do. Because of any employer wants to look up they do let them know that they've been this, they've been, that follows them around. So anybody then, their next doctor, their next, whatever, says, oh, I see you've got problems with depression. Who doesn't have problems with depression? I got a problem with depression. I don't have problems with depression that I'm depressed all the time and I've got a problem handling it, but I got a problem with being depressed when I am depressed. But the very next day, I might be happy as shit. You know what? The very next hour, I might be happy as shit. Sometimes I'm depressed and I get on a live stream and I feel better, you know? But when you get on those benzos, that is when you stop taking them and your mind you're supposed to feel depressed sometimes. You're supposed to feel sad sometimes. You're supposed to feel happy sometimes. That's what's called emotions. That's what's emotions. When you get on those pills that they control the endorphins and things like that that control how you're feeling and everything in your brain and the receptors and stuff that control that, they control you to not feel happy or sad. You just feel like you're in a bubble. Right, exactly. It's absolutely a normal response to be sad about something or depressed about something. That's why friends, that's why even YouTube friends should be here. Not so that, somebody can say they feel a certain kind of way, and then the next thing they're right, right. But if you go to a counselor or something because, you said it to the wrong person, and then the next thing, oh, blah, 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 you're clinically depressed and you're textbook cured with the same prescription of everyone else. But I guarantee you, all those people are not sad or depressed for the same reason, but they're all being, medicated with the same treatment. That's what they do. They don't care. You know, I heard statistically that one of the highest rates of, a career with suicide is psychiatrists and psychologists and counselors and stuff because they don't heal many people. They really don't. When your patient has to keep coming to you for years and years and years and years, that doesn't sound like you're healing them to me. It really doesn't. When people say I sometimes come on my live streams and will talk to myself, you know what? It's not always like that. But I do it and I think to myself, but some people might listen back to my live stream, right? So it's not all for nothing. In fact, I think it was Jose who told me that and said, don't feel discouraged if there's, a small number in your live stream because some people, even though they're not available at the moment to listen to your live stream, they'll listen back to it. That's an encouraging thing to say to a friend. That's something that made a difference in my life from going forward from that day that he said it. Well, not even a good ass whipping. It's like but yes, in a sense, well, I don't know about an ass whipping, but these parents definitely could be a little different. I mean, kids aren't taught that if somebody's living in a certain area, they're poor. I mean, I'm not sorry, they are taught that. They don't just know that. They're told, "Oh, those are the projects. That's where the poor people live." No, they're not all bad, but I think that I think it's the same thing with, say somebody who's psychic and they can tell you, say that they looked at you and they knew something was going to happen, and that would be called their gift, right? But some of them want to charge people for, you know, the benefit of what they call themselves a gift. And I think if something is a gift and you know that something bad is going to happen to somebody, you should at least alert them to it. And not people shouldn't have to pay you for what is a gift. Like, and yeah, and don't throw everyone on medication because that's just the same medications that they're giving to everybody, but with a variety of different problems. So the same medication for different problems. And that doesn't seem like the right cure for, this person has this, that person, like, like bipolar disease. You're either too happy or you're too sad. How can anybody be too happy? And, I mean, I believe that when you get on those prescriptions, when they say, if you want to get off them, you're even worse. Just reading the small print and the side effects is scary enough for me to not want to be on them. Who's ever heard of I mean, we've all heard of an antidepressant that makes you suicidal. And it's not even about if you get off them, it might make you suicidal. Those are the side effects of the drug. Might make you suicidal. Might make you sleepy. Might make you not be able to sleep. You're right. That is true. Very correct there. Good point, Aiken. Good point. That's a good point. Thank you. See? And I learn every day. I grow every day. I learn every day. And that is another reason why I appreciate YouTube and you guys because, correct, correct. I would normally look at people prior to you telling me that and saying that to me, Aiken. I might look at people, and probably did, who had that kind of gift and think the same way that I explained and said. But you saying that to me right now will change me from this day forth on my view. So I appreciate that. Thank you for putting things into perspective. Yes, Chantix is so bad. So bad from what I've heard. So bad. Anybody I have ever heard that has taken that Chantix, no good. I wonder if that is a benzodiazepine. Right, and what kills me is with weed being legal, do they not think that way anymore? I mean, for, train drivers, is that what they're called? It's not a conductor, engineer? What is it called? Or, things like that, or even a taxi driver. What's SRI? See, I enjoy conversations like this. I really do. Engineers. Okay. Right. And I mean, didn't they used to, you got it, yeah. Didn't they used to say that was just like, you know, it's just so strange to me that they can have these shops for weed and they got these buds and cases and, when you buy it, they hold it up to the camera, and it's so, um, like, ah, the word is monitored, right? It's so monitored, and yet I was watching I don't know, I saw something tonight, like a comment somewhere, I don't know where it said how, they can require IDs for so much, but they don't require a picture I yeah, you have to show your license like 3 or 4 times in a dispensary, but when you go to vote, you don't have to show your license once. Isn't that crazy? Not once. You don't have to show your license. It's so weird that you have to show your license at least 5 times in a dispensary. They tell you, keep your license out. Hello, King of Ipswich. Right, 'cause Aiken, I've seen people who are allergic to alcohol. One beer, and it's not like that they're an alcoholic. One beer, and you could tell that they're, the focus of their eyes. Oh, that okay. Now, okay, so melatonin makes you sleep, right? Hi, Ben. So serotonin, is that something that would make you be more alert? Yeah, why would they make you have to keep showing your ID though through the entire and then you can't, like, open the bag on the property of the Oh, okay. And serotonin isn't? Is serotonin natural? Because I know that you could take melatonin pills, right, to help you sleep or something. I'm just curious because I feel like, um, it's natural and your brain controls mood. So they're both natural and they wanna inhibit it? So kind of suppress the serotonin in your mind? See, because I feel like if somebody is depressed, you should find out like why they're sad and try to help them. And I do know that there is cases and for instances of people who are sad and depressed because of things like maybe they were very badly physically or sexually abused. Um, you know, many reasons, many, many, many reasons. I can't put myself in their shoes because I've never been in that situation. I can't even give really an opinion of how somebody might feel that has gone through that. Um, Fortunately for me, you know, I can't even give an opinion on that. I think that would probably be one of the worst things to try to come to terms with. That or losing a child. Um, I'm sure they both have their different levels of grief. And that is why, in the grand scheme of things, not knowing everybody's story and some stories not even being able to relate to, even if you did know them, that's why I think people should just be nice to people because we don't know what people are going through. Thank you, Aiken. Thank you for being here. But I think, everybody has had some kind of life, and nobody should try to make it worse for them. If they just sit there and they think about their own life and what they go through, I'm pretty certain they wouldn't want their life being made harder by sometimes even a complete stranger. Everybody should just make a conscious effort to step out of their own shoes and put themselves into somebody else's shoes and think, would I like this if it was happening to me? And if they say yes, I'd like to be, insulted and abused, I find that hard to believe. Even if they say, well, I'm thick skinned and I can laugh it off, I still find it hard to believe that, they might be able to say that if it's not happening to them. And they might be able to, you know, think that they'd want to go through it. But the bottom line is, what's the end result? I mean, what's the prize at the end? If you're kind to people, you might end up with this great friend for the rest of your life. But if you're mean to people, what's the end result of that? What's the satisfaction? What's the appeal? To see somebody hurt? I can't wrap my head around those things, so I don't try to, because I already know I can't. You know, for me, there'll never be any reason why complete strangers should just want to, believe lies and jump on bandwagons. I'd rather have just a few good people around than a mass of meanies, you know? I don't want to be a meaner. I don't want to be one of those. So, as much as um, I get thrown at me, and sometimes I responded, and then I feel bad, and I'll remove it, but I'm growing every day. I'm learning every day and working on myself. I can't work on them, I can only work on me. And um, when I respond, it's not that I don't remove it because they don't like the response. It's because I don't like the way I sound myself. If I listen back, I know I find it offensive. I find myself offensive. So that's why I'll remove it. Because I've heard people say they don't watch themselves back, but sometimes maybe we should, as a little self analysis isn't bad. But I also, on the other side of, doing that, anything that ails ya, live stream, kind of, I also wanted to do a cancer support live stream because I noticed when, I was diagnosed, and during that time it was COVID, yes. So any of the actual physical cancer support things weren't available. But even in that sense, there wasn't many, and there wasn't any that I could find on YouTube. Not that I could find, no virtual cancer support live streams. Uh, Facebook there was, I guess, but I'm not a Facebook user. So I thought that even in the sense of, how NA is for, not NA, what is it called? The one for the families, um, NA and AA, their families can get support there too and find out information about what they're going through. Even in that sense, with a cancer support live stream weekly that is structured within a set time. Does anybody think that would be a good idea as well? I asked about it in the live stream I was in last night, and they thought that would be a good idea. I'm no expert on cancer, but I'm an expert on the way I feel. Good morning. It's for a live stream I was in earlier. No, I don't believe that you know them, Kelly. I do not believe that you know who that live stream was for. Or you might have seen them recently. Uh, but yeah, but it's not anybody that I think that you're really familiar with at all. Yeah. But yeah, I was thinking, like some kind of like support live stream would be good so that people can hear um encouraging words. Like, Kelly's, here, and I know that her and we had she was in a live stream one night where I felt it was a really good live stream and that we all learned a little and I don't know, like maybe went away with a different perspective of that night. Perhaps I think we were talking about relationships and everything. And, um, nobody has the right answers, but everybody has their own. Yeah, I know, I understand. It's okay, Kelly. I don't hold that against you. I just remember, the good conversations with you. I try to just push away, anything that I don't want to recollect. We all only have so much memory power, right? So I just try to think about the positive, and I felt that was a really positive live stream. I enjoyed it, and so that's how I remember you. I don't think of you as any other way. Honestly, I do not. I have no bad feelings towards you. Um, and I appreciate that you still stop in. I think that's awesome. I really do. And I meant every word I said in the live stream with you that night too. So just so you know, that's the real, me. I'm not perfect, but I grow every day, and hearing your story makes in an in like an ironic kind of way. Sometimes when you hear other people's stories, it makes you, not you, but in general, me, you, anybody, be able to focus on something else as opposed to themselves and the whole talking experience of the communication and all of that is positive, I think. I think it doesn't take too much to say. something kind and positive to people. You know, I just think it, in my own experience, it has always been uh, pleasurable to me to hear something kind. And so I feel like that's probably the same for a lot of people. Right. And, I mean, she probably has been faced with, seeing clones of me saying horrible things, a barrage of anything. But if she wanted to come and say anything to me at all, I'd be absolutely kind to her because I don't like to go back, I just like to go forward. Sometimes even going forward, you know, we all sometimes think, oh, tomorrow's another day and tomorrow might be shittier. But I don't stop thinking that it might not be. That's the key, is to not think that it might be just as shitty as the next day. I mean, I think probably we all have so much shit in the back of our mind, and I try to look for ways to not cross the bridge before I come to it. Yeah, she's the one who's miserable. Well, I mean, at the time, I feel like they both were kind of feeding off each other, and whatever their reasoning is, that's their reason. You know, it's just whatever their reasoning is, that's their reason. But I just don't. I don't want to become what I don't like in people. And I saw a little bit of myself becoming that way. And, but in the same sense, I felt like I was having to swallow my pride and not stand by my convictions. And I was not being, you know, who I wanted to be. So when I decided not to carry on in that direction, I guess I became like enemy number one, but it's okay. I'm used to, you know, I got strong shoulders. It's all right because I have the gift of enlightenment and I can see that I do make mistakes and I make response videos and get angry, but that's just emotion and it's normal. It's really normal, but I remove them because I get disappointed in myself. Because I am very angry in actuality. I'm angry that I have cancer. I'm angry that people talk about it all the time and they tell me not to mention it. They say, when am I going to stop using the cancer card? Mm, I'd love to never have the cancer card. Um, I'd absolutely love it. But I'd also love to not hear consistently terminal, 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 chemo brain, chemo brain. I'd love to not hear that. I can't comprehend that I have to, but some people are mean. So it is what it is. And my response videos were just, you know, my anger and my hurt was being reflected in my voice. I'm not complaining about my words, but I didn't like the tone of my voice. And that's, you know, the words were really coming from her, and but the tone was a little more evil than I'd like to hear myself sound, to be honest. You're a very pretty girl, Kelly. And in all honesty, I don't really dislike any of those people. Yeah, and I don't really dislike any of those people. So, um, I think the tone of my voice and the anger comes more from being angry at having cancer and not being able to, um, not being able to escape the fear of it like I wanted to, because I will always have fear of it, but I wanted to try to make it something positive and sometimes try to not think about it. But because every time somebody is speaking of me, not every time, not every time, but a good percentage, it's talking about cancer. Well, yeah, um, Kelly, it was about the thing about my daughter, but it's the whole thing about hearing the word cancer repeatedly. Say I'm terminal. They say I act the way I do because I have chemo brain and this and that. And then they also say, when can she stop talking about cancer? Can she even not mention cancer for an hour? I'd like to not mention cancer for the rest of my life. For the rest of my life. I'd like to have, never mentioned it. But they've got me to where when they're saying we want an update on her condition, that I don't even want to share my condition anymore because I feel like they pray for negative for me. And that might sound strange or whatever, but it's not like they ever say, it's not like they ever can respect the fact that nobody with cancer who wants to continuously be reading and hearing that they're terminal. Even if they were told that they were terminal, um, no, but there's more than just that one and just that one person. It's a group. Like if you read that chat room, you look at a whole list of people saying, you know, talking about cancer and chemo. And you've heard me say, well, I'm trying to not think about it right now and be, positive about it. But then I saw somebody make fun when I said that I had wanted to vlog about my cancer journey and make it something positive because it was the only way I could turn it into something positive, and that I never got a chance. And then I saw them make a video and say, oh, poor SG. She never got a chance. Like, I I feel like they pointed out that I talked about, this person's um, physical ailment, that person's physical ailment, this person's physical ailment, yet they don't realize that all they do is talk about my cancer and call me terminal? That's all they do. And if I don't talk about my cancer, I won't give an update. And if I do talk about cancer, I'm playing the victim and using the cancer card. So basically, there is no way for me to please those people. They want to know my condition. They're demanding to know my condition. But when am I going to stop playing the victim and pulling the cancer card? You know what I'm saying? They just dislike me. It's not about, what I'm doing. It's just me. And that's okay. I can't make everybody like me. And I'd have to say that after what I've been seeing, you know, whatever, I'm not too impressed. So, but I am glad that you're here because I do like you. And, it hurt me to think that we had had such a great conversation. And then for some reason, you didn't seem to like me anymore. And I knew I hadn't done anything to you. So I'm glad that you had you know, the mindset to come over and talk to me because that's really important to me. So just know that, you know. And anyway, so I was thinking about doing the cancer support live stream and also like kind of support group live stream. I was thinking where, you know, if you just wanna, that's why I use that live stream title. Thank you, King of Ipswich. That's why I use the title in this live stream, winter, spring, summer, or fall, because I just want people to know that. Thank you. Thank you, Kelly. It is water under the bridge. Thank you. That no matter what, if I keep these times, like I keep a time, stick to the time. That's one thing I'll tell you. I do not that I only admire one thing about her, but one of the things about Babos that I do admire is that she does stick to her time. She schedules her live streams and she sticks to them, and that is something um, that is commendable because a lot of people, including myself, will uh, shy away from scheduling live streams because they don't want to be on a schedule, right? We work as a schedule, we have doctor's appointments as schedules. To make a set time for yourself that you have to be to, but you've made it yourself and not break it. Like she could, she had a job or anybody who had a job, it's hard to break your schedule time from being there. If you had a doctor's appointment, it's hard to break that schedule time from being there. But if you've scheduled that set time to be somewhere yourself and you remain true to that, that's very admirable. Because in all honesty, that's um and her co-host, JC Bear and HMB, the people who are on her panel and also adhere to that time frame is really that's cool, to have people that right. Well, nobody's really on 24/7 if you think about it. You know what I mean? Like, 24/7. Do you know anybody who's on 24/7? I mean, I know that that's a phrase, but do you really know? Yeah, it's like it's still it's she does research during the week, and that takes time so that she knows what she's going to talk about and stuff. So it's not just the time that she's actually on that she's focusing on her yeah, I know, right. But it is just a phrase, but it could come across that, you know, thinking that that was so there I, I have seen some people who are on 24/7, believe it or not. Um, they're crazy, but you know, uh, but she does stick to, and I believe the fact that she doesn't appear to be on 24/7, even though behind the scenes she does a lot of work on her channel, right? Her research, yep, and responding to, comments, emails, all of that is extra time. So so to her, it may feel like 24/7, even though outwardly it isn't that way, but to her, it might feel 24/7. So, and the thing is, she probably enjoys it anyway. I mean, most of the people who, yeah, yeah, that guy, that King Frost or Frost King or whoever that is. I know who you're talking about. I don't know. He does the scary ones, yeah, with the accent, and I think he must run that on a loop. He must have to, because um, he is on 24/7. And there is also like those wildlife channels that are on 24/7, and that's kind of cool too. Yeah, chills, right? Yeah, I was thinking Frost, same thing, right? Chills, Frost. Yeah. And his live stream, though, his actual chat moves so fast, and they do different things in there too, like some kind of games that it feels like if you're not in on their little circle, that I don't know what to say really to those people in there. I do like the nature ones though. There is wildlife channels that are on 24/7. I like those. Uh, that's how I actually like one of the first ones was like a live deer cam that I was on. Those are cool. And there was like a bear. That one, I think it's in Transylvania or something. The Bear channel. Have you ever seen that one, Kelly? That one's all right. I think it's Transylvania or Romania. I just feel like it's Transylvania though. I haven't been on there for a while though. And then there used to be another one. Yeah, I'll look for those too that I could keep on all night to go to sleep to. The bear one night watching it. Like, if you go to like a regular live stream around the same time all the time, you'll end up making friends because the same people will be there. And so this wild boar was hanging with the bear. And usually a boar doesn't hang with bears. They hang with wild boars. But this wild boar, like they were calling him bear, pig bear, pig bear, was like this wild boar. And one night, because like when it's daytime here, it's nighttime there. So it was like, I don't know, mid morning, and it was 12 midnight over there. So these two bears are eating, and this boar that's always hanging with them looks at this one bear, and as if to get like confirmation that it was okay to go over and stand near it and eat the same thing that it was eating. And the bear kind of looked back and seemed like whatever transpired between their animal glances that it was okay for this wild boar to come over and eat next to the bear. Well, something happened, and this bear jumped on that wild boar. And the wild boar, and the weird thing was the wild boar, like with the infrared and thing, people, the eyes will glow and stuff. The camera is a pretty distance away. You don't think that the animals know that the camera is there or anything, but this wild boar was staring into the camera while making this horrific sound while the bear had it by its neck, and this wild boar was staring into the camera, and the other bear was running around in circles, like freaking out. And the boar was making these noises, staring at the camera. This bear dragged it off the camera. No, it was in Transylvania, and the bear dragged the wild boar off the screen, and it went totally silent. So everybody is like, wow, in shock and thinking he must have snapped its neck or something. Don't you know that boar. No, it wasn't in Tennessee. No, it was in Pennsylvania, and that boar was back in a month. And it was the same boar, had a couple of scars, a little thinner, but for that whole month, we all were certain the boar had gotten killed. Because the boar didn't show up, nothing. All I could think is that they did it for the camera. Like, not that the people who ran the channel did it for the camera, but the animals did. Because, like, they get off camera, and then the bear says to the boar, good job, buddy. And, lets up on it. And that's why it got silent. We thought it was because, death came to the boar, but apparently not. And then the boar hid out somewhere for the month, and all the other animals brought it food and was like, "Yeah, this is going good. They believe you're dead. They're gonna be shocked when they see you." And like I mean, seriously, how the hell is that possible? That they got off camera and the bear suddenly realized, "Hey, wait a minute, we're friends," and let him go. Does that even happen in the wild? But that is what happened. I like bears. So what I think I'll do is, although I will keep doing the trivia live streams and I'll schedule those. Carrying out Bora, did he kill it though? There is very few times when bears will eat humans and kill humans. And yet, a lot of times they'll go out and they'll kill a bear saying, "Oh, that's what happened. It must have gotten eaten by this black bear or a grizzly, and it didn't even do anything." Poor bear. I feel like if you go hiking in the wood, you should always bring some lunch meat. Maybe not lunch meat. Maybe you should wrap it like over and over and over again and put it in like bags that will block the smell, because you don't want lunch meat and then have like animals following you because they smell the lunch meat. But if there ever was an animal that was chasing after you, your best bet is to throw it some food, right? Like, make friends with it, with food. I think food makes friends with any animal. Don't be the food. Give them food. Because most of them are probably hungry. Well, as long as you're like not being a jerk to them, if you if they don't go away on their own and they do start coming towards you, throw food, right? Make them full, and then they won't even want to eat you. Give them lots of food. That's my thought. I really like bears, so wild boars, though, I don't know if I would like so much. I'm not big on them. It really kind of freaks me out when I hear that pigs eat people, and that sometimes people who have pig farms kill people and feed them to the pig. And I saw it on Hannibal Lecter. Bye, Dominic. Thank you for stopping in. I'll be ending soon anyway. But I appreciate you guys. And I'm sorry if sometimes I ramble on about feeding bears lunch. Maybe nuts or berries. Then they won't smell. So they won't follow you because of that. I think lunch meat would give off an appealing odor to animals. You know what I'm saying? Oh, but if you brought bologna and you didn't open it, like Oscar Mayer, like with the seal package, just for like an emergency. Yeah, don't go to the deli for your lunch meat. Get it in a sealed package first. Don't open it. Just have it handy in case any wild animals come after you. Because any wild animal probably likes lunch meat. That's my lesson for today for everybody. Going hiking, bye bologna. Bye, you guys. Peace out and tacos. Have a great day.